Back at it. Championship University. Y'all know what time it is. It's The Last Dance. Episode 8. Was it 7 and 8 right now? Y'all been giving us crazy opinions and changing the narrative. But, I don't know. MJ and Kobe still the top 2 greatest players of all time to me. So, we shall see. What's up, Steph? It's been a GOAT conversation, night in and night out. Everybody been talking about the GOAT, who's the greatest of all time, who's your top 5, Mount Rushmore, the top 10 best players. Is this era better than the era back in the day? Is the 80s the greatest era of all time? That's all we keep hearing, though. We keep hearing that night in and night out. Who's the greatest? And my whole thing is, what's good, S? My whole thing is, everybody got their own opinion, and it's going to be interesting to see. So, I had Kenyon Martin on here a few weeks ago. Marcus Fires, a couple of lottery picks and all that. But I want to get somebody's opinion who I respect as well, and I think the best in the business. I got to represent the greatest, MJ and Kobe. What's up, my brother? How you
What's
doing?
Going on, man? How you doing, man?
Mr. New York City himself.
Don't you ever say I don't have love for you interrupting my Sunday evening. I'm doing this for you, bro. Wearing your Laker jersey on. Don't even have no AirPods. Why you being cheap? Where's your AirPods? Well, you got to have the wired headphones now. What's that about?
Because I actually like my headphones better than the AirPods.
Okay. All right. Tell me anything. It's all right. What's going on?
There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing.
I got you.
We doing this social distancing, self-quarantine. So, I've been going on live with a lot of guys.
Sure.
And we just been having conversation about the greatest players of all time.
Cool.
Different opinions like that. So,
before you even get into it, let me tell you and your listeners, your viewers, all of that stuff. You think you know everything. Let's be very, very clear. You the gospel. You know everything, right? Get on my damn nerves sometimes, but I love you. Here's the deal. This particular discussion right here, I'm judging your interview skills. This ain't no conversation, all right? Even though it can be conversational. I'm judging your interviewing skills, which means I'm judging how you ask questions. I'm judging how much you listen to answers and how your follow-ups are. Since you want to critique everybody else every day, I'm critiquing you today. So I want you to know this is an interview I'm granting you, and I'm going to test your skills as an interviewer. I know you got some knowledge because I wouldn't be on the phone with you, on Instagram with you if you didn't know your basketball. But I'm telling you right now, I'm judging how you ask questions, how you listen to answers, what your follow-ups are. Take the floor, and do it right.
So you just basically go hijack my Instagram. I'm
judging. You're going to have people on your Instagram page, right? You asking them to come on, we going to see how you interview. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm here.
I love this. But before we get into that, all jokes aside, Stephen A.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
You have changed the game, and my biggest question, what I wanted to ask you, when did you know that journalism was the route? Being from New York City, playing, New York City is the playground legend for guards and so forth like that. When did you know that, the route to the NBA wasn't for me and the route to journalism was the way for me?
Well, the day that I cracked my kneecap in half, even though I wasn't good enough to go pro or anything like that, playing at Winston-Salem State, I thought I had a game. I thought I could shoot. But before I even got my career started there, I cracked my kneecap in half my first year there, my first 2 months on campus. And so because of that, it was clear when you go into a Division II program, they don't have the money that Division I programs had at that time. I mean, it's still that case today, even more so. But back then in the day, I mean, the facilities that they had available, the medical professionals that they had to watch over you, to treat you, to help you recuperate and rehabilitate from injuries and things of that nature, you didn't have that available to you on the Division II level. And so as a result, when I cracked my kneecap in half, I literally had to leave school at the end of the semester and go home for a full 8 months just to rehabilitate, because the insurance that the institution gave you didn't pay for everything. So my mother's insurance had to pay for my rehab to get my knee somewhat right enough where I could ultimately recuperate and get back on scholarship. And it never fully healed. I mean, to this very day, literally before the coronavirus pandemic took place, I was scheduled to go to the hospital in New York to have my right knee operated on, the same right knee where I cracked the patella in half in 1989. And 30 years later, I was scheduled to go into the hospital, because in order to keep yourself in shape, when you plus 50, bro, you'll get there. You understand cardio is that much more important. You understand what I'm saying? Got to cut down on the sugar, got to cut down on the white bread, and then you got to get on the Peloton, the treadmill, or jog and all of that other stuff. But you're using your knees. I still to this day have torn cartilage, a torn meniscus, and more torn cartilage under my right kneecap. So I was literally scheduled to go in the hospital on March 18th to get all of that fixed before the coronavirus pandemic took hold and they wiped out all elective surgeries. So I got to wait in order to take care of that. But that's all stemming from that cracked patella that I suffered in 1989. So from the moment that happened, my mother said to me, well, what you going to do with the rest of your life? And I knew that I wanted to be connected to sports, because I believe in having a passion for what you do. If you don't have a passion for what you do, then what you're doing is just a job. You're going to look at the clock all the time. You're going to be punching the clock. You're not going to be enthused. And if you're not enthused about what you're doing, you're not going to be great at it. And everybody's going to know that you're not great at it because you're not passionate about it. And as a result, you ain't got no chance of success. So for me, it was like, yo, I got to do something that I'm passionate about it. So it wasn't really to me about journalism. It was about something that could leave me connected to the world of sports, because I knew I had a passion for sports and I knew how to write. And because I knew how to write and I had a passion for sports, that's how journalism came into the fold.
Unbelievable. And, you know, I followed you with the Philadelphia Inquiry, and, you know, you had Quite Franklin and so forth like that. But then the birth of First Take, obviously it started off with Cold Pizza with Woody Page and Skip Bayless. And then when you got there, it just went to a whole nother, you know, stratosphere. And the way we look at it from the urban community, we look at First Take as like barbershop talk. It's like the conversation that we have in the barbershop every Friday and Saturday, and y'all go at it. And we, you know, when you and I talk, we always talk about sometimes, man, we ain't in the debate mode. We just having a basketball conversation. Right. But, you know, when you was doing sports journalism, writing articles and all like that, when you was in there, you was like an anomaly. You said, like, you was the cool dude, but also knew sports. But most of the time, people looked at being a sports journalist was nerdy. So what made you continue that brass and keep that same attitude in the locker rooms? And how was it in the beginning?
Well, for me personally, I always have a philosophy. The greatest way to sustain your success is to be yourself, because you never have to worry about betraying who you are. Your personality is what it is. If that's who you are and that's what you bring to the table and it happens to be working for you, why change it? Because it's the one thing that people can depend on and can trust that won't change. Anybody can put on an act, but how long is that going to be sustainable? If you're not true to yourself and who you are, then ultimately people going to catch you, especially people like you. You're going to sit up there and, you know what I mean? I mean, you got on a phony and fake radar every day. You know, you looking for fake phonies and frauds all over the place. You can't help yourself. You're addicted to that as much as anything else. And so you're going to spot cats like that. For me personally, it was just one of those situations, man, where first of all, I've never viewed First Take as barbershop talk when it came to the urban community, primarily the black community. Here's why. I don't like it when folks, when brothers get together and we just chopping it up about sports or whatever. I don't mind a barbershop because, of course, I go to a barber and I'm talking in a barbershop, at least before the pandemic, all the time. It's not that. I don't like people thinking that we're limited to that. There are black people that have graduated from Ivy League schools. There are black people that never graduated from Ivy League schools, and they're brilliant. There are black people that's working in corporate America. They're brilliant. There's brothers from the streets without a degree, and they smarter than the cats with degrees. All of that stuff is true. So for me, it's not that I'm averse to, somebody labeling it barbershop talk. I just don't like it when people outside the black community try to limit bantering back and forth between black people as barbershop talk. No. We can talk on any levels. Me, right. You, and millions upon millions of black people, men and women everywhere. We articulate as hell. We know how to speak our mind. We know how to articulate our positions. We know how to say what's going on and bring it to you straight and from the heart and be authentic and entertaining in our presentation or interesting in our presentation. It don't have to be labeled barbershop talk. So I never subscribe to that. I'm talk, period. I don't give a damn whether it's in a barbershop, Fortune 500 company, on the train station, in the streets. I don't give a damn where it is. In the newsroom, it don't matter. I have the kind of vocabulary and the vernacular and the delivery and the presentation where you could put me anywhere in front of anybody and I will get my message across in an interesting and articulate and eloquent fashion. That is me.
I'm with you on that, and I feel the same way. But when I use the term barbershop talk, it's what we do as blacks in the barbershop. We talk sports. We say who our favorite people are. We break it down. We come up with our stats, and we don't use just stats to clarify who's the greatest player of all time or who's the best at this best. And I'm going somewhere with this because, sure. Your show is based on a lot of topics. Mm-hmm. And, the big topic right now is The Last Dance. Michael Jordan was considered arguably the greatest player of all time. And
not to me, he is the greatest. He's the GOAT without question. But go ahead.
But I want to get into that. And I only want you to focus on the guys that you actually watch play basketball in your lifetime, being, 51, 52 years old?
52.
Since you've been watching basketball, just you, not the guys, when you look at the sheet of paper, who are the 5 guys? I want to know who are your favorite 5 players of all time and who are the best 5 to you that you've ever seen play basketball.
The best 5, I'll give you 2 categories. I'll give you the best 5.
Okay.
And then I'll give you my favorites.
Okay.
Just thinking about it off the top of my head, if I miss somebody, I'll apologize and whatever, because I haven't thought about that.
Okay.
But clearly it's MJ, and he's on both lists. MJ, right? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is on the list as one of the top 5 all time, but not one of my favorite to watch.
Is this the order you doing or no? You just
I'm not doing order. I'm just naming 5. But what I'm saying is that notice I said Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan's on both lists. All right, as number 1. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is on the list for greatest, but not my favorite to watch. Okay. When I think about him, Larry Bird is on my list. All right. As one of the top 5 greatest.
As your favorite?
No, one of the top 5. Great. One of the top 5, but not one of my favorites. Shoot. Allen Iverson is one of my favorites, but not top 5.
Okay.
Kobe is both. Kobe and MJ are both. Okay. LeBron is both with MJ and Kobe on both lists. Favorite to watch and one of the top 5 greatest.
So you got 2 more for your favorites. You need 2 more for your favorites.
Steph Curry is both because I'm partial to shooters.
Will you name 6 guys? Because you got Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Larry Bird, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Steph Curry as the greatest that you ever seen play.
No, I'm sorry. I think Steph Curry is the greatest shooter I've ever seen in my life, but not top 5 all time. But Steph Curry is the greatest shooter and one of my top 5 players to watch ever.
Okay. So your 5 greatest players right now is Michael Jordan, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, LeBron James. Give me your 5.
Yes, pretty much. You know what? I'm going to take Larry Bird out of there.
Okay.
And put Tim Duncan in there. I think Tim Duncan's greatest power forward to have ever played the game, but he wouldn't be on my favorites to watch.
Okay. And my 5 is MJ, as far as the best I've seen in my lifetime.
And Magic would obviously be in terms of my favorites to watch, and we can make argument top 5.
Right. I'm 40, so my 5 that I've ever seen play in my lifetime is MJ, Kobe, Durant, Shaquille O'Neal, LeBron James. My favorite to watch is MJ, Kobe, Durant, Allen Iverson, and that's a tough one.
Let me throw this at you. Let me throw something at you. You know why it's almost sacrilegious for us to keep Magic Johnson? I'm talking both of us, not just you.
Right.
You know why it's sacrilegious for us to keep Magic Johnson off the list? Before there was Jordan,
tell me what?
Before there was Kobe and Shaq, it was Showtime. And Showtime could have never existed without Magic. See, what I'm saying is that Magic, as an individual skill, he didn't have the greatest jump shot. He didn't have moves where he could dance on you and boogie on you and evade you. He didn't have the greatest jump shot. He wasn't the greatest defensive player. He certainly wasn't an above the rim, skywalker rather. He wasn't that guy. But everything you loved about the 80s evolved around Magic Johnson. Because with Byron Scott, with Michael Cooper, with James Worthy, with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, even with a Kurt Rambis, a Michael Thompson, etc., Norm Nixon before Byron Scott, it was Magic that was the orchestrator. So it's almost like, damn, as an individual school, if I'm guarding him straight up one-on-one, is Magic going to do anything spectacular to wow me? Not really. But when you talk about basketball being a team sport with the other four guys on the floor with him and his ability to pass the ball and the flash and the pizzazz and the sizzle with which he did it, basically inventing and orchestrating a level of Showtime we have never seen before or since him, because we've never seen a show like that. We have not seen a fast break like Magic Johnson and the Lakers before or after him. Showtime is the only time in the history of the NBA that we've seen a fast break like that. That's how lethal the fast break was.
So you putting me in your top five?
I'm saying it's a discussion.
Right, because notice what I said. I said in my lifetime. So I saw the tail end of Magic and Bird, so I can go back and look at film. Because I think a lot of times when we start talking about the GOAT and we look at film, we think the guys today are better if we hit the rewind button. But if you put the guys from back in the day and put them with the training and the work ethic, they might end up being better. That's another conversation.
That's true, but that's another conversation. As it pertains to Magic, I'm saying to him, he can't, as an individual talent, meaning one-on-one, he doesn't belong in the same sentence as MJ, Kobe, or even a LeBron or Steph Curry.
Or Durant.
As a team, of course Durant. But as a team player, oh my God, he is literally the orchestrator of the only Showtime we have ever seen in the history of basketball.
What made Magic so great, he can dominate a basketball game without taking a shot. He can have a game where he's going to score 1 point from the free throw line with 20 assists and 10 rebounds. I get it and get the win. But like I said, the reason why I asked you during your time and versus my time, because I think the conversation that people are having, they having too many sheet of paper conversations versus talking about during their time. And when I asked you, you watched Magic from college all the way to the end of his career. I saw Magic from the tail end. So I can't really, only way I can know is I go back and watch film, and the only film I watch is when he's winning in the big game. So I'm saying this to say this. The word Mount Rushmore, right? You hear that word thrown around in basketball a lot. What's the Mount Rushmore basketball? And Mount Rushmore is about impact and how you change the game. So I want to give you something to think about. You know, a Mount Rushmore could look like Wilt Chamberlain, Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry. It could really be the Mount Rushmore. And I just want to ask you, what's your take on Mount Rushmore and how you view it, and what does it really mean to you?
Well, first of all, I think I take everything into consideration, and it's in its totality. That's the conclusion I come to. Like, for example, I think LeBron James is the greatest small forward to have ever lived. But in the same breath, there's no way in hell I'd ever pick LeBron James over Larry Bird in the last 2 minutes of the game. Ever. On any night. I don't care what LeBron you give me. I don't care if it's early LeBron, mid-level LeBron, an aging LeBron, the experienced champion LeBron. I don't care what version of LeBron James you give to me. I would not pick him over Larry Bird for the last 2 minutes of a game. My problem is I take him for the first 46 minutes because of his athleticism, what he could do on the defensive end of the floor, and how he makes others around him better per se. But he's not the clutch player, doesn't even come close in my mind to the clutch player that was Larry Bird. And so when